to day 2 of the 5-day Declutter Your Kitchen Challenge. So excited to get into it. Check this out. Little baby Corey, my baby number 11, has a little baldy spot because she just sleeps in her back most of the time to sleep. And this is so cute. I think all of my children have developed this one way or another. They've all had thick heads of hair, and check that out. It's so adorable. But come on, let's say hi. I got a nice comment yesterday. Oh, who was one of the lovely moms said, seeing your babies making my ovaries scream. Well, here you go. Scream away, dear ovaries. Well, let's get into decluttering our kitchen challenge. Like I said, this is day 2. Yesterday, we talked about goals, and I provided a free checklist to help you actually identify your goal, gave you some tips on how to do that. So if you didn't get that, you can still pop into the group. And in today's email, which I'll send it at 1 o'clock, not email, pardon me, a post. I give an action item post every day. I'll have the link in there available. Or if you want to scroll back to the day 1 action post, you can get that handy checklist. It's my free gift to you to help you declutter your kitchen with simplicity and grace, and a couple of tricks that really help me do it quickly, because I've got some strategies that really help in a big family, because our kitchen counters get so cluttered up so fast, right? And when our hands are full with baby number 3 or 5 or 11, easier said than done, but let's make it simple. So yesterday we defined our goal. So you've decided what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, so that it's a realistic and optimistic goal, stretching yourself just a little bit, but not unrealistically, and setting yourself up for, frustration and defeat. Because it's, let's be your own BFFs and set goals that are within our ability to do. So now that you've got your goal, maybe on your checklist, or you just mentally mapped it out, if that works for you, now it's time to identify what's going to go and what's going to stay. And I have a little method I call triage that really helps me sort of stand back, emotionally detach a little bit, and just look at a project, especially decluttering, a little bit more of an objective perspective, and just really take inventory quickly. And you can do this just even sitting down. If right now, like me, I'm at my kitchen island, and I can just even see my target area that I'm zooming in on, what I call a hot spot. And then I can mentally map or just write down what I'm going to work on the checklist. So hello, good morning, Cindy. Great to see you here live this morning. So triage. If you've ever been to the ER, and if you're a big family mom, you're probably going to have at least one go, if not more, at the ER. The triage is simply when the staff identify, the urgency of the situation and the priority, right? It's a quick triage tree, 3 things. So what's critical? Right? Gonna die. What's urgent, like really important, but it can wait. And what's not so important anymore, right? It can really, really wait. You might be in the ER for 8 hours because you're not gonna die with, a simple broken arm or something. So the triage idea is when I look at, for example, the drop zone. Let's use the drop zone as an example and just unpack it real quick, because a lot of women that I pulled in my group said the drop zone was a big area of clutter, especially in their big families. Just so much stuff, homeless things in limbo that just weren't being put back in their own homes, papers from like Sunday school or Awana, bottles and just toys, random Lego pieces. It's like the big collecting pile. So the drop zone, triaging it would be standing back, or on your piece of paper, if that's easier for you, saying, okay, what's going to go, what's going to stay? What's critical? What has to stay in that drop zone? Or what is the function of the drop zone? Like, it's good to have some kind of place where things go, because that's part of the problem with the drop zone. If things don't have a home, if they're effectively homeless, to use that term, which I've never heard of it before. But if it's a little homeless item in your home, you're like, this actually doesn't have a place, and it's going to stay on that counter forever, right? You have to give it a home. A little orphan item, whatever it is, needs a home. So it's time to look at it critically and be like, do I even want you in my house? Craft that child did for a science project, a homeschool project or something 3 months ago. And, I just think they're going to have a fit if I hang on to this, if I just throw it out one night. So if you've got crafts in that drop zone, which a lot of families do with little kids, and they love their crafts, where do you want the crafts to go? If you don't want them to stay in the drop zone, then you get to decide where it's going to go. And for example, some people put it on the fridge, but when you have 6 kids, your fridge gets, covered in magnets really fast. And, every day, 6 times 6, you can have 36 pictures on your fridge. It's not going to work. So one thing that I've done is I've created a place for their paper craft. So if they just have regular scribble on a piece of paper, some macaroni noodles and sparkles on a piece of paper that they made at Sunday school this week. What I did is I took a door, the backside of a door that leads into sort of a multi-purpose room that we have. I stuck 10 nails in it in 2 rows and with some string in between the nails. So it's just like a big string with 5 nails. If you can see it in your head. I'll show it to you later. I'll post a picture of what I'm talking about. And on each nail, I put a clothespin. Simple. And the clothespin had their initial written in Sharpie on it. So everybody has a spot now, I call it their clip, where they can go display their art. They can probably put about good 8-10 sheets of paper on there until it starts to get a little heavy. And then either they or I, depending on sort of the emotional attachment of my different children, the papers at the back that they've now forgotten about because they're so happy about the papers at the front, they just go away. Every once in a while, maybe once a month, depending on how fast things fill up there, it just creates a place for the papers to go because my counter, my island, it's not going to be the place. So today's triage, decide what's going to stay, what's going to go. And where it's going to go tomorrow on day 3, day 4, I'm actually going to go through different hot zones that are on the checklist that I provided, and even some others, as women have been telling me, but like the mail, what do I do with the mail, Tara? Help me think it through. Now, here's the deal. Ultimately, I'm not going to tell you what to do in your own home, right? I'm not there with you doing like a one-on-one personal custom coaching call to really help you troubleshoot your spot. You have the ability to do this. And maybe what you just needed was to set aside the time, the 30 seconds, the 5 minutes to just be like, that was enough. I'm going to do it. Triage it. What's really important and needs to stay. If you're thinking of your small appliance sort of center and you're like, okay, what do I really use every day? Every day. Like, okay, the toaster, yeah, we have a lot of toast in our house. Or you use your blender every day because you make yourself a smoothie in the morning. Great, keep it out. Maybe you don't need to get rid of everything and turn your counter into some kind of Pinterest-worthy, photo op or something. You're just going to make this work for you according to your standards, the function in your own home, the demographic of your family right now, the ages and stages, and the purpose of that area. So now that you know what your goal is, when you want to accomplish it, now let's just break it down into little steps. What's going to stay, what's going to go. And if you want to go ahead and grab a box, because you're like, okay, all this stuff has just got to go, and it's just going to go, and I'm going to deal with it later. Later meaning, well, define later, right? Because later never comes. You got to be specific. It helps to say, I'm going to do this Saturday. Put a note on the calendar, whatever calendar system you use. And if you have to reschedule, you have to reschedule, but it just helps you at least move one step at a time towards your end goal. Even if you hit a couple of detours on the way because the kids got sick or, somebody decided to drop by or whatever, you'll get there. But step 1 is right now, triage it. Decide what's really going to stay and what's going to go. If it doesn't have a home, make a home. And maybe the home is the garbage. Honestly, you're like, I don't even like this stuff. I'm just going to make the executive decision as the full-time stay-at-home mom. And this is the domain that I have management and stewardship over. It's not like a moral issue, and the husband's not going to be offended if you suddenly decide to just get rid of a game, the pieces of which are driving you insane. And you keep stepping on them and keep cluttering up. Kids aren't cleaning up. So maybe you decide this isn't a game we're going to keep in our house anymore. It's just not working for me. Done. So you can negotiate that. You don't always need to get your kids' permission, but I leave that to your own discretion because you know the ages and stages and the emotional responses of your kids, right? So real quick, take a look. What's going to stay? What's going to go? And what doesn't even have a home at all? So it's probably time to define if the home is the garbage, the recycle, or actually in your house. And then just start to think, like I said yesterday, if you believe that it can be done, you'll amaze yourself with what you can do in 5 minutes of just focus with faith. So those are my tips for today. I will have an action item post dropping today at about 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the Big Family Moms group. So if you want to catch that and be part of the giveaway we're going to do, all you have to do is comment on today's video in the group, comment on the action item post to say that you did the action item. And if you want to get that checklist, like I said, I have it linked in day 1, and I'll have it linked also for you today in day 2. So that's it. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow where day 3, day 4, we're going to zoom in on the hot spots, and I'll give some more like focused advice and tips and help you think through your particular goal. And as I go through other areas that maybe weren't your specific zone that you were targeting in on, that's okay, because all the tips apply to all the other areas as well. So I'll see you tomorrow, and otherwise I'll see you in the group.